Hey guys, the Explorer of Horror here. How's it going? The Horror Boy here, and welcome back to some more Alien and Predator reviews. Of course, I've covered all the Alien movies except for Alien Covenant. Number one, because I haven't seen that movie since it came out, and I barely remember the movie. I mean, I remember what the movie's about, but I really just. I remember the movie, I just don't remember it too well. And I already did the review for it, so I linked it in the Prometheus review. So if you guys want to see my review on Alien Covenant, just type either you can type my name on YouTube and look up Alien Covenant review, or my channel, um, or on the link in the Prometheus review. And I'm also gonna be making a playlist of these reviews, so you guys can easily access my Alien Covenant review. I would change my thoughts on it. Basically, it'd be a rant now. I didn't do a rant on it back then. At least I don't remember doing a rant on it. But it'd be a rant now. Just like Blair Witch, it'd be a rant now. And Batman vs Superman. There's a lot of movies I did reviews on because a few years ago I was a little bit more lenient on films, and I was like, man, they're not that bad, not that bad. And going back and watching a few of these movies, yeah, they are that bad. Especially Alien Covenant. But I did do a review on that. I reviewed all the Alien movies all the way up to Prometheus. I have an Alien Covenant review filmed and already uploaded from a while ago when I first seen it. I reviewed Predator, Predator 2, and Predators. Did not review the Predator yet. I will review that as soon as I see it. And after I'm done doing the Alien and Predator review, which is what we're getting to now, I saved these for last. I know that the Alien vs. Predator and AVPR came out before Prometheus and Predators, but just like when I did the Jason and Freddy reviews, I waited till I got done reviewing the regular movies and I reviewed the Versus movies, just kind of give them their own, thoughts on, to not really give one franchise the advantage over the other, just kind of keeping it equal. So we're gonna be getting to these movies, and yeah, I'll review the Predator whenever I see that film. But Alien vs. Predator from 2004 gets a 5.6 on IMDb, which is rather low. And it's directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who he's made plenty of movies. He's directed the first Resident Evil movie, as well as 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Directed Mortal Kombat, which I'm a huge fan of. Event Horizon, which I really liked. He was a writer for Death Race. I don't think he directed it. Or maybe he did. Yeah, he directed it. Big fan of Death Race. I'm a fan of... Not really a fan. Well, actually, he didn't direct Resident Evil. What was it? Extinction? He didn't direct that. He directed Afterlife, Retribution, and Final Chapter. I was not a fan of Retribution or Afterlife, and the Final Chapter I couldn't even finish. Because it was a bad movie. I just didn't really care for it at all. He also directed Pompeii, which, I've heard some good things about it. Oh, no, not that. That's a different movie. The Pompeii I heard bad things about. I don't know why I was thinking of a movie called Life of Pi. But I kept on thinking of Life of Pi with that Pompeii title. I don't know why I was thinking about that. But yeah, he's directed I'm kind of in with. I mean, I like Mortal Kombat. I love Mortal Kombat. I love Resident Evil 1. Only I don't love it as a Resident Evil film. I think it's just a decent film. I love Death Race, but I hate the other Resident Evil movies. Three Musketeers, I started watching, I hated. I couldn't finish Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. Pompeii, I heard really bad things about. And he's making a movie in 2020 called Monster Hunter. But I will say this. A lot of people hate this film and love AVPR. I'm sorry, but I'm a huge fan of AVP. And I really am. I don't care if I get all these negative comments. I don't care if people talk so much trash. Because usually the AVP fans, there's very few out there, but the ones that are a fan of AVP really get a lot of trash talk. So, I'm kind of getting ready for that. The only thing I can agree with people is that, Sanaha Lathan, she's not the best lead, but I don't mind the cast. People say this movie has a bad cast. Freddy vs. Jason has a bad cast. This doesn't have a bad cast. To me, this has a decent cast. I can remember some of these characters. I can remember, certain aspects of their characters. I think this cast is better than Prometheus's cast. I think this cast is better than Alien Covenant's cast. I think this cast is better than Predator's cast. I said it. Not Predators. Not Predator as in the first Predator. I meant Predators as in the 2010 film. I think this movie has a better cast than that. And I'm actually a pretty big fan of this film. I think it's actually a really entertaining, really fun time. And I know that I'm surprising some people out there, but I hate AVPR. I can't stand AVPR. And if you're a fan of it, that's cool. But I'm going to be doing a massive rant on Requiem because I'm not a fan of it. It gets a low rating than this movie, but somehow I've always heard more better things about that movie than this movie. I'm just not a fan of AVP4. But that's a video for later. Alien vs. Predator was a movie that when I was a kid I remember checking out. I was able to see this movie at a young age because it was PG-13. And this is really the first Alien and Predator film I've seen before Predator, before Alien. And this is really the movie that kind of introduced me into the series. And I'll get into my likes and dislikes in a minute. Pretty much the story of this movie is that an archaeological exploration is going on where they find this kind of pyramid-shaped thing under the ice in Antarctica. And they find out that there's some kind of hidden history there where it kind of was a place where the humans and predators were, and the predators would put these aliens on these humans and make them the hosts, and there was kind of this ancient war that happened there, and that pretty much all these years later, this ancient battle is getting ready to start again, and these humans are caught right in the middle of it, of Alien versus Predator. And as the movie goes along, I mean, the movie starts off pretty slow. It's an hour and 41 minutes, which really isn't that long of a film, especially considering the Alien series. I mean, you had the first movie, the second movie, the third movie. Those are pretty long movies. And I like their approach to this film. It's not like it's AVPR, where it's, balls to the wall action and gore. I prefer it this way, where it's much more of a stylistic film. It's amazing to look at. This movie really has a cinematography that I've never seen replicated in another film. And I think that that's some praise I got to give Paul W.S. Anderson in this film. Is that the way he shoots this film and directs it, I think it's very unique. The lighting, the choice of camera work, the designs of the creatures, the predators, and the aliens, they look unique. There's even one that gets a net on it and it bleeds or it cuts through the alien's head. But when the alien breaks out of the net, it kind of leaves this mark on it. It's like iconic. Yeah, it doesn't make sense that the alien queen is back. I will give you that. That really doesn't make too much sense because in Aliens, that was the only alien queen and she got blown to pieces. Or she got blown out of space. So you're really not sure. And if people saying this may be a prequel, maybe it is, I don't know. But it is kind of weird seeing the alien queen back. But kind of awesome in the same right as well. And to me, I enjoy the death scenes when you got the alien and the aliens killing people and impregnating the humans. Some gruesome scenes with that. I like the atmosphere of this ancient tomb or ancient, structure. I like the way it looks in this movie. You can definitely tell that Prometheus kind of took a little bit from this movie and implemented that into its film, and also Alien Covenant, with the kind of dark tunnels and lighting and stuff like that. I love the use of flares in this movie. I love the way that the infrared looks in this movie. It's very well done. This is a movie that I can appreciate this. It finally left the Predator alone. In this movie, they're not trying to change the Predator, make him bigger and badder. It's just a basic Predator, and some of them get killed. I like the idea that it comes down to this one last one, and he even uses some of the blood from the alien to carve into his helmet, kind of making him the last stand, last warrior to fight these aliens, which I really liked. It's PG-13 with an edge. There's cursing, there's plenty of alien blood, there's some decent amount of blood in this movie for it being PG-13. It gets gruesome. You see, the chest bursters. There's a really emotional scene where the lead girl and this guy who's kind of in love, she looks at him and, I think she has to kill him. It's a very emotional scene. I like the idea This is the only movie where this I did kind of work because it was the first time I did this where, this character named Alexa, she kind of works with the Predator to take down the aliens. And I like the aliens in this film. They're definitely a threat. I love the score. I love the style of the film. I love the fact that it's not too much violence. And the thing that I don't get is that people say this movie is tame and it should have been more gory. But I'm like, we got that in AVPR, and granted, it gets a low rating, but most people are fans of that movie over the first AVP. And I'm like, I'm sorry. This movie is filmed better. It looks more cinematic than AVPR. AVPR looks like a cheap, low-budget film that barely has any lighting in it at all. Which I'll save all that for the AVPR review because I definitely got some I definitely got some interesting opinions on AVPR. But yeah, I mean, I'm just a really big fan of the score, the atmosphere, the direction. The characters are decent in the film. They're not, tremendously well done characters, but they're decent. There's plenty of fighting in the movie between the aliens and the predators. This one predator, they really built him up to be this badass. He's like taking out these aliens by himself. A facehugger tries to get on him, but he breaks its neck. Pretty cool scene. I like the fact that in this movie, they made it to where the predator kind of helps the humans out a little bit. I even like the idea at the end of the movie where the predator ship comes down and they kind of reward the human. Good idea, I like that. The cast, like I said, the cast just did their job well. I'm not a fan of Sana Lawton. She's not the best actress, but she's not the worst one either. You got Lance Henriksen coming back in this movie playing Charles Bishop Wayland, which I guess maybe he's the original. I think in Alien 3 you actually see him, the Wayland character in Alien 3, I think. Or is it just another android? I don't remember. But I know that you see in Alien 3 under Lance Henriksen, this might be the same guy. But yeah, I mean, I think the cast does a decent job. The people who played, the Predators did a good job. The CGI is good. The effects are very practical. There's actually very little CGI in the film. I will say that it is kind of odd that, like I said, the Mother Queen, the Alien Queen, is still there. I don't understand that. And even if it is a prequel, how is it that in Aliens, the Queen Alien gets on another planet? So I don't understand. People try to say it's a prequel to Aliens. I don't understand that either. I think this is a sequel because it follows events instead of explaining things. The only thing it really explains is this ancient battle between the aliens and predators, which I get kind of came out of nowhere, and all the flashback sequences are kind of weird because it's just this origin that kind of came out of nowhere. There was no hint to it in the previous films. Prometheus never touched on it. The other Predator movies never really touched on it. It's definitely a weird origin to put in this franchise, but it ain't stupid. It's not as bad as Alien Covenant, where you have weird looking aliens that don't even look like xenomorphs, look like freaking xenomorph disasters, and having a boring cast in a boringly paced film, slow paced movie with a horrible payoff. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of Alien Covenant. I think this movie is miles better. And, I think this is better than... I will say this, I think it's about on the level of Prometheus, where it's a pretty good watch. I actually really enjoy this film. I think it's just well shot, in my opinion. I don't understand what the big problem with this movie is. You have plenty of Alien versus Predator scenes, and even though you don't got too much human gore, like you don't see people getting decapitated and their spines ripped out, you see plenty of alien gore. Aliens getting their faces cut off and their heads ripped off, getting snapped in half. Not really snapped in half, like, their backs broken or whatever. You see some great scenes, some great awesome scenes that are well shot. And, I like the ending. It's a weird ending because, like I said, I just don't understand where the second Alien Queen came from. But it is a well done ending with some great effects. Them battling the ice and then them hooking the Alien Queen up and then dropping her in the lake or whatever, the water. She's down at the bottom of the water. I like that. It's a cool idea. You know, this predator kind of gave his life to save the human. I like that, you know, and of course this movie ends with, you know, when I was a kid in the first, like, that's such a cool idea of them combining a predator and an alien like that. But when you see AVPR, you really regret it, because, like, at that point, it's barely an Alien versus Predator movie. It's more like just a Pred Alien, or whatever they called it. It's more like a solo Predator Alien movie with this hybrid Predator Alien thing, and aliens and predators in the film. It's not like an Alien versus Predator film to me. It's just how I feel about AVPR, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, I just, you know, some great scenery, some great shots. I love AVP. So, anyways, guys, pretty much my thoughts on Alien vs. Predator. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the movie in the description or in the comment section below. But yeah, I really enjoy the film. I think it's great. Anyways, guys, the Explorer 4 out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.